The General Electric Energy Dumb 150 DEL C6 The Christmas Lights. I am not one for DEL Christmas lights. Very, very, very few strings over the years I have found even remotely satisfactory to use. Don't like the coloring. I particularly don't like the flicker. They just don't remind me of Christmas. However, I saw these on the display and they looked pretty respectable. They weren't flickering too bad. The colors were decent. They were illuminated kind of evenly like an old painted C9 bulb would be. And what I liked about these was that they just looked decent for what they were. And we have a lot of incandescent imitation LED lights at this point, and none of them hit the mark. You know, they all, you can tell they're not incandescent. But if you take an LED Christmas light and you just make it look like a good quality, reasonable, presentable LED Christmas light, fine. I can accept it as an LED Christmas light. It's not an incandescent replacement. It's a different product category, but it can be satisfactory. And that's what these seem like they are. So these I bought at Lowe's this year. This is being taped in late November 2025. And these cost about $35, which I felt was kind of steep. I feel like a lot of the DEL lights this year are pretty steeply priced compared to the last couple of years. There is also a C9 version of this, which costs $45, and that I think is also pretty ridiculous, especially because it's probably the same diode inside, just with a larger piece of plastic around it. Now, incandescent Christmas light prices, I do not think have gone up at all since last year. In fact, some of the ones at the Home Depot have actually come down. The C9 lights are significantly cheaper than they've been in years past. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And it also adds insult to the fact that these DEL ones are just going up and up. So these are 150 lights, but only 49.6 feet long, which is really not very long because you have an old C9 set with 25 lights on it. That's a 25-foot string. So if you're replacing old school C9 Christmas lights or C7 Christmas lights with these, you can't just count the number of lights you have and buy the same number of lights. You have to count the length of the string. And that's where the price really goes up. I think that the C9s, I want to say, were going for $8 and change this year at the Home Depot. And that's a 25-foot string. So if you want to match this in length, you need two. It's $17, $16 and change, whatever it is. That's $17 versus $35. So the string length is an important thing to consider here, because these, even though they have a lot more lights per the length, they don't go very far for how much they cost. It says connects up to 24 sets, that's fine. Up to 80% energy savings, that's fine. Indoor, outdoor, I don't think these are really watertight at all. And a 5-year warranty with 2 asterisks, so that means there's a bunch of lies in regards to that warranty. On the back, it lists a number of the same features in addition to some specifications. Probably should have taken this plastic film off here so it's easier to see, but total set wattage 9 watts. That's pretty impressive because a string of 25 C9 is 175 watts, so this is definitely a significant reduction in electrical consumption. However, I don't know where they're getting the 80% from, because actual C6 lights have not been sold for decades. So I really don't think that these are being compared to a 1960s set of C6 lights. I don't know what it's being compared to. Single end connector plug system, whatever the heck that means. 2 steady burning DELs included and 2 3-amp fuses. So 3 amp fuse, of course, there's going to be voltage drop eventually, but a 3 amp fuse would certainly be able to handle a lot more than 24 strings. 5-year limited guarantee. Let's see what lies are involved in this guarantee. This product is intended for residential seasonal use only, 90 days maximum per year. This limited guarantee covers repair or replacement of this product if defective within 5 years from the date of purchase. Send your product. There you go. There's lie number 1. And what makes this kind of worthless is you got to pay for shipping. Send your product prepaid along with a legible copy of your sales receipt to St. Nick's Fix, 246 Spring Hill Road in Trumbull, Connecticut, 06611. That's actually not far from where this store was, the store where this was purchased at. Attention customer service. Allow 4 to 6 weeks processing. So I'm guessing what will happen is you bring it to that thing, and then someone there is going to fix it, and then probably General Electric will reimburse that company for the cost of the repair. However, General Electric is not going to reimburse you for your shipping costs, so probably costs at least $15 to ship this. It's, moderately heavy because a lot of wire there. So just to use this warranty, you're already out half your money. So as far as I'm concerned, the 5-year guarantee is pretty much bogus and worthless. Bulbs which become loose must be replaced promptly in order to maintain the performance and life expectancy of this set. And why is that? Made in the Philippines. Nicholas Holiday Limited. I wonder if that's the OEM. Well, the Philippines usually makes decent quality stuff. So let's see how these are. The plastic film doesn't really keep dust or anything out of the package. So here's the lights themselves. They are UL certified, which I think is noteworthy because some of the lights at the Home Depot this year have dropped the UL certification, which I assume was done in an effort to reduce costs. So here's your plug. I already don't like this. This is not a plug on top of another plug. This sucks up your entire outlet and you can plug in nothing else. That's a dumb design. Let's see, where are the spare bulbs? Here's the spare bulbs. I guess only the blue and red ones are able to burn out, and we got 2 spare fuses in there. Comes in a nice reel for storage, I suppose. So as far as use outdoors is concerned, these, like most of these mini lights, are not watertight in the slightest. If you get good lighting on this, you can actually see the copper contacts in there that the light bases reach. You can see right through it. See right through it. So you're telling me that's waterproof? Yeah, that's really waterproof. So what happens, this is not a uncommon situation here. This is a very common design flaw on not only LED lights, but the basic mini incandescent lights as well. When it rains, water gets in here and it corrodes these contacts, and then you get a break in the circuit and it stops working. A very, very common failure. Now this string does have this extended base on the bulbs, which fills some of that gap. I'll insert this here and you're going to see that some of that gap gets filled up. See, it did come all the way down to the end there. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, no, it does. This just broke. Okay, let's see if we can not wreck the set before we even get to test it out. See that in the center there, that's the tip of the bulb. I pull this bulb out, it goes away. So there was an attempt made to make this more waterproof, but it's a terrible attempt and it doesn't work. It is still totally not waterproof. You can still see the contacts and water is still going right in there every time it rains. So in a couple years, this will corrode and stop working properly if used outside. If used inside, I don't have any reason to believe it's not going to last, but these are not going to hold up outside. None of them do, because they all have the same dumb design. Now let's plug this in. And testing at 120.9 the volts, we have 0.06 the amps or 5.2 the watts. So as far as I'm concerned, the fuse is 3 amps, 80%, that's 2.4. So you do 2.4 divided by 0.06. You could probably connect 40 of these together. Now there might be voltage drop eventually. I'm not sure at what point. Maybe 24 is where the voltage drop becomes bad. I don't know. But you can definitely connect quite a few of these together. So as far as the flicker is concerned, which was my biggest curiosity because at the store there didn't seem to be a whole lot of flicker. There's not a whole lot of flicker present, at least that I can detect. And if I can't detect it, then nobody can detect it because I seem to be extremely sensitive to the LED flicker. There is some, these are not no flicker, but it's either an extremely high frequency or it's smoothed out pretty well, because if I'm looking right at them, I don't see any flicker, but if I look at them at the corner of my eye, or if I'm moving, or if the lights are moving, I can see a little bit of flicker, but it's not bad. This is definitely one of the better strings that I've seen. Let's see if there's any banding on the camera. That's a good way to verify it from a technical perspective. Yeah, so there is banding on the camera. So they are definitely flickering. That's that black bar on the top there. What that is the refresh rate of the camera and the refresh rate of the electricity being out of sync. So the camera is usually 59.94 frames per second, and the lights are 60 according to the power company. And so that's why the bar moves up the camera, because it's not at exactly the same frequency. So they do definitely flicker, but it's very, very, very minimal. As far as the coloring is concerned, they look like DELs. You know, the blue has kind of an eerie, really, really deep glow to it. The white is not like a conventional warm white. It's kind of more like a stark white, almost like this piece of paper, as opposed to a 2700K light bulb like an incandescent would be. The green is decent. It looks kind of washed out on the video, but it does not look like that in person. Green's actually pretty nice. Red is a little bit dim. It also looks kind of washed out on the video. It does not look like that in person. Let's see if we can correct that by turning off the lights. Christmas lights are very difficult to film. This is a nice deep red while operating in the person. I don't know why it's looks like pink on the video. It's decent in person, and then there's the yellow. So all in all, these are not bad for DELs. Now, by no means are these going to replace and incandescent. But like I said earlier, if you're going to use DEL lights, these look like DEL lights, they just look decent. You know, the bulb is lit nicely all the way top to bottom. There's not a lot of defects in the plastic. It's pretty smooth illumination, just like you would get with a painted C9 bulb. This is all pretty reasonable. And as far as the flicker goes, it's not bad. If I put these outside and had them across the area, was looking at them from inside the house, I don't think I'd be too bothered by the flicker. The illumination is decent. It's omnidirectional. You can see when these are on the table here, you can see that the table is illuminated around the light. Not all DELs are like that. A lot of them don't do that, and so when you put them on a tree, it looks like garbage because the tree is not lit up. These are lighting up the area around them just fine. Yeah, I really actually quite like these. I think these are among the best DEL lights I've seen this year, for sure. I was none too impressed with the DEL lights at the Home Depot. I thought most of them looked like garbage, flickering something awful or whatever, but these, and now granted these were the only ones I thought were decent, but these at Lowe's, these are not bad. And the fact that we can take a picture of them without the image going all crazy speaks a lot of volumes about the flicker. I'll lower the exposure a bit. Yeah, not bad. I will use these in my display outside. No, these are not satisfactory as incandescent replacements. These do not replace incandescent Christmas lights, but for DEL Christmas lights, for what they are, with an understanding of that's what they are and that they're not something else, I can accept these.